Welcome. Here we're going to go ahead and graph the tangent function. So I've gone ahead and written our function here. We have tangent of 2 times the quantity x plus pi over 2. So we're going to address this function. We're going to compare it to the generic function and see where we end up after we've graphed this. So let's just go in alphabetical order. We'll start at the beginning. A is going to be the vertical stretch for tangent, for the cosine and sine, because of the wave function of how they look, A is the amplitude. But for tangent, it is the stretch. It makes it grow either faster or slower. I do not have a coefficient in front of my tangent. There is just an implied 1 there. So if A equals 1, then there is no additional stretch. That is just, I don't have to consider that when doing my problem. I'm looking at B. This in my problem here is equal to 2. So this alters the period of the function. So remember that tangent has a period of pi. So in order to find my new period, I'm going to divide pi by 2. So this is my new period. Then I'm going to look at C. Well, C is, anything that's being added, subtracting outside of the tangent, not inside the parentheses. And I don't have anything here. C is equal to 0. This is the vertical shift. And so for this, I have no vertical shift. So none, because there is no C value. The C value is equal to 0. All right, and then we have the very last thing, which is D. So D in my problem here, it's actually negative pi over 2. So my function here, my generic function, has a subtraction here. And so because this is a positive, the value of D is actually negative pi over 2. And the fact that that is negative means something. It means that I shift, my horizontal shift, otherwise known as my phase shift, is to the left. So these are the components that I will need to address when I graph my tangent function. So I'd like to start with just a sketch of the basic tangent function, because I think that that is very helpful. So I will go ahead and do that first. So tangent of x, I'm going to draw it fairly small here. Oops. Try to draw some straight lines. So tangent of x has a period of pi, and it is centered around the y-axis. And so that means that half of it is on either side. So my asymptotes here are going to be negative pi over 2 and then pi over 2. And then continuing to add pi. So my next asymptote here is going to be pi over 2 plus pi. So 3 pi over 2, and etc. And then the tangent function itself, it approaches this from the bottom. It does go through the origin, and then there we have it's going up towards infinity. So this is what the tangent function, the base just tangent of x, looks like. So if I'm graphing my altered function, if I'm graphing tangent of 2x plus pi over 2, what I need to do is I always first address any phase shift, and I also need to address the alteration of the period. So when I change the period from pi to pi over 2, if I'm graphing tangent of 2x, then when I have these asymptotes here, instead of being at pi over 2 and negative pi over 2, they're at half of the new period, half of pi over 2. So that's negative pi over 4 to pi over 4. So I'm not going to sketch my function out because I haven't addressed the phase shift yet. I just want to look at that and say, okay, that's what's happening. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to address my phase shift. And the reality here is that my phase shift is pi over 2. The phase shift is equal to the period. And when they are equal, only in this instance, when your phase shift is exactly equal to your period, you're shifting it by pi over 2. Whether you're shifting to the right or the left, it doesn't actually alter the graph of the function. So the graph of this function, tangent of 2x plus pi over 2, is the same as the graph of tangent of 2x. So I can graph tangent of 2x. I have already looked at my asymptotes here. With my period of pi over 2, I have negative pi over 4 and pi over 4 as my first two tangents. I'm going to go, not tangents, I apologize, asymptotes. And then I'm going to go ahead and find a couple more asymptotes so that I'm indicating several periods worth. So I'm going to do pi over 4 plus pi over 2 to get my next asymptote. Because that is my full period. And in order to do this, I have to have the same denominator. So I'll have pi over 4 plus 2 pi over 4. So that'll give me 3 pi over 4. So in my next one here, 3 pi over 4. And I'll go ahead and graph. So my tangent is crossing in the middle here. It's going up and then down. Again, crossing the middle, going up and then down. So here I have graphed two periods of my function tangent of 2x plus pi over 2, which is the same graph as tangent of 2x.